Hey, welcome to Compass Online. We're so glad that you're worshiping with us today. You know, our normal service times are 9 and 10:30 a.m., but due to some technical difficulties today, we are rebroadcasting at 2, 4, and 6 p.m. And we'd love for you to share this with someone who maybe needs to hear this message today. It might be exactly what they need. You know, we're glad that you're worshiping today. If you're a guest, we're glad that you're here, and we hope that you enjoy this worship experience here at Compass Normal.
Well, good morning, friends, family. My name is Marshall. I want to welcome you here this morning. Let's stand. Maybe turn to the person to your left and right. Give them a handshake. Welcome them here. And we're going to worship together, all right?
Search the world
good to worship together. Amen. Amen. And I've lived stories that have proved your faithfulness. And I've seen miracles my mind can't comprehend. And there is beauty in what I can't understand. Oh, Jesus, it's you. Oh, Jesus, it's you. And I believe you're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. I've seen, too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. All the miracles I've seen, too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. I can't resurrect a man with my own hands, but just the mention of your name can raise the dead. Yes, it can. So all the glory to the only one who can. Oh, Jesus, it's you. And Jesus, it's you. I believe you're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. All the miracles I've seen, too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. All the miracles I've seen, too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. After everything I've seen, you're too good to not believe. Yeah. You're so good, you're so good, you're so good. And I've seen cancer disappear. Yeah, I've seen broken bodies healed. And don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. I've seen real life resurrection. And I've seen mental health restored. And don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. And I've seen families reunited. And I've seen prodigals return. And don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. I've seen troubled souls delivered. I've seen addicts finally free. And don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. We'll see cities in revival. There's salvation. too good to not believe. You're too good to not believe. You're too good to not believe. You're too good to not believe. God is so good, amen? Man. I'm gonna read something for you that I read this morning. I'm just so thankful for this church. Man, I'm gonna share a little personal story, and I'm probably gonna cry, and I thought I worked it out in the first service, but here I am, getting emotional again. But man, it's go time for my family. My wife, so we moved here from Canada, for those who don't know. Friends have become family down here. This church has become family. My wife it's go time. She's pregnant. This week we're having a baby girl. Sometime. We don't know when. If I run off stage in the middle of this next song, it's happening. So, but I am so grateful for this church. And I just read this thing about gratitude. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into an acceptance. It turns chaos to order. It turns confusion to clarity. Gratitude can turn a house into a home. It turns strangers into family. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates vision for tomorrow. I am just so thankful for what God is doing here. Listen, like I said, it's a crazy season, moving into a new country and figuring out the healthcare system, which is wild. And having a 4-year-old who just had his birthday this weekend as well. And so we had friends over yesterday, and just to watch us get surrounded. Woo! Here we go. There's the waterworks. Man, you guys have just treated us so well, and I'm so thankful for that. And it's our gratitude that spurs us into worship. God has just been so good. Amen? So we're going to sing a new song. And the chorus is, "This is why I thank the Lord." So once you pick up on that, once you sing out, sing loud, and let's worship together. Let's raise up our thanks to the Lord.
I don't have enough words. I'll never live enough lifetimes to fully know your worth, to know all that you deserve. All of my deceptions, all of my duplicity. Now there is no record. You assume the best of me. So this is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. All of my affection, everything I have to give, the sum of my attentions is measured in the praise I lift. So this is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord. Oh, this is how I thank the Lord for loving me and keeping me. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. So I will sing. so many things to be thankful for.
This is why I thank the Lord for loving me and keeping me. So I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. Let's sing that again. And this is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. Scripture says, I will sing praises to the Lord because he's been so good to me. Yeah, God's been so good. Amen. Amen. You guys can have a seat. Thank you.
Right now, we're going to enter into a time that has traditionally been known as communion within church. And all communion is an opportunity for us to push the pause button and to remember and to reflect. Because let's be real, this last week, school started back. Parents are happy, woohoo! Students are like, nah, not so great. But man, school's starting back up, the fall taking off, having a kid, celebrating birthdays, sports starting. Things are nuts right now. And so what we want to do right now is we just want to push pause. And we want to remember and recognize the fact that all-powerful Creator God wanted a relationship with you and with me so much that he literally gave everything for that. And so you should have received this little communion cup package thing. If you did not, raise your hand. We would love to get one of those to you so that we can partake of this together. But what this is it's got two pieces to it. The top piece, if you peel it back, it gives you access to this little wafer thing that represents the body of Jesus that was broken for you and for me so that we could have a relationship with him. The bottom part of it is a little thing of juice that represents his blood that he spilled for you and for me so that we could have a relationship with him. And so as you take that, I just want you to reflect on that. I want you to recognize that. And we're gonna give you some time to sit in that. But first, would you join me in prayer? God, we thank you so much for caring for us so deeply, for loving us so much that you gave your son for us. Jesus, thanks for sticking it out and not giving up on us either, and going through what you went through so that we could know you personally. Right now, we thank you for that. We continue this attitude of gratitude. And it's in Jesus' name, amen.
My name is Michelle Province, and this is my meal marathon story. One of the ladies at my CrossFit gym invited me to serve on her meal marathon team and told me it was with her church. And so when I heard that it was for children and packing meals, I thought that sounds like a lot of fun. And so I signed up to be on her team. One of the very first things I felt was welcome. When you get into the room, you get your orientation, everybody puts on their matching hairnet, and then you go into a room where the music is blasting, everyone's excited, everyone's cheering that you're even coming into the room. And so I felt like this was something unlike what I expected, and that we were all there for a common goal. When we were packing the meals, everyone has a job, and every single person at the table is responsible for completing their task. So if you've served in a different environment and maybe you were standing around a little bit, or sometimes you didn't feel like you were serving or had a purpose, Meal Marathon is not like that. If you have a scoop in your hand and you're responsible for vitamins, you're constantly on the go. If you're responsible for rice, if you're responsible for weighing the bag, packing the box, everyone has a job and a role and is key for getting those meals packed and put in the boxes. And so you really felt like you were needed and that you had a purpose. The environment is created so that everyone's having fun. When I left Meal Marathon, I realized that I was welcome here, and it had been a good 10 or more years since I had walked into a church environment. And so the fact that I didn't get struck by lightning by walking in the door, because I was intimidated whenever I came to Meal Marathon, and I was not sure if I belonged here. And so I knew as soon as I left that this is someplace that I would be welcomed and someplace that I would enjoy being around other believers in. And so I was really actually excited to look more into Compass. Every meal has a story. Every kid that gets that meal has a story, and every person that packs that meal has a story. God used the invitation to Meal Marathon to get me into my first service at Compass, to enroll in Rooted, to get baptized after Rooted, to sign up for Compass Academy, to graduate, to serve at a greater capacity as a 938 graduate. My story was impacted. My daughter's story was impacted. My granddaughter's story will be impacted because I was invited to Meal Marathon.
What a story. Goodness gracious. I've seen that a bunch of times and it still gets me every single time. Hey, this is the 10th year, if I could count. I need to go back to school anyway. This is the 10th year that we are doing Meal Marathon. And over the past 9 years, I want you to hear this number. 5,137,560 meals have been packed, bought and paid for over the last 9 years. That is crazy, right? Y'all, that's 5,137,560 stories that have been completely and totally changed. And we can't do any of that without your generosity. Thank you so much for being a generous church and a generous people. We can't do any of that stuff. Stories cannot be changed. Granddaughters, stories cannot be changed without your generosity. And so thank you so much for being a generous church. We would love to continue to partner with you along that generosity journey. And there's a couple of different ways that you can help us do that. You can always practice generosity by going to compass.church/give. You can utilize our Compass app that we have as well too. We've got generosity boxes that are scattered throughout the entire campus, but you can also scan this QR code to practice generosity. And maybe you want to dip your toe into this whole Meal Marathon thing, because while you can be generous and help us provide meals, you can also provide your time and help us pack meals coming up later this September. Scan the QR code. You could go to mealmarathon.com, but we encourage you to scan the QR code to sign up for that, to be a part of it, because who knows? Maybe your story will be changed if you jump into that as well too. We've got a lot of other things going on here, but before I go any further, if I have not had an opportunity to meet you yet, my name is Nathan Lewis. I get to serve on staff here as the discipleship pastor of Compass. And I love what it is that Compass continues to do, because here at North Fort Worth, we love meals. We love to eat meals, yes, but we also love to share meals. And so if it's your first time with us, there's a connection card that you should have received on your way in. If not, you can snag one of those. But for every connection card that you bring to us over in our Next Steps area over here after the service, we are able to provide 48 meals. For one card, 48 meals for families in the DFW area. So please, if it is your first time here, we would love to meet you. We would love to get to know your story a little bit. I promise that we're not gonna sell your information. We're not gonna bombard you with a bunch of different spam emails. We just wanted to get to know who you are and what you're about. Also, we want you to know that there are several different things coming up later this fall. This Wednesday, NoFo students, where you at? Okay. NoFo students, this Wednesday, August 24th, we're kicking things off 6:30 to 8:30. You can find out more about that if you scan the QR code. I hope you're picking up on the theme here. Scan the QR code, everyone, okay? This is how you're gonna find out more about what that Wednesday night is gonna be about. It's also going to help you find out about Baptism Week that Pastor Nate is gonna talk about. We have a serve tour that's going on after this service as well too. You can head straight to the Next Steps area. We would love for you to be a part of the story that God is writing here at Compass North Fort Worth. And so you can figure out how it is that you can get plugged in there. But there's also something that I am crazy attached to, that I am in love with, and it is this 10-week discipleship experience called Rooted. It is absolutely life-changing. I promise if you give this a shot, it will change your life forever. It kicks off on September 11th. You can find out more about that by doing what? Scanning the QR code. Yes, you're with me. Thank you so much for being way more engaged than the previous service. No, but you can. Rooted is absolutely amazing. I could go on for hours about Rooted. It is the perfect way to figure out how to get connected to other people, get connected to God, to find your purpose within His story. But instead of me just rambling on here, I would love to show you just a little sneak peek behind the scenes preview of what you can expect at Rooted. So check this video out real quick.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Compass. Our mission is navigating people to God. My name is Nate. I'm one of the pastors here. So glad that you're worshiping with us, whether that's in the room. I want to welcome those of you who are going to watch this later today because our online feed has been down all morning, but we're going to rebroadcast this today. So when you're ready to share this with someone, you can share. It's going to be on at 2, 4, and 6 today. Share this with somebody for this service today. But we're glad that you're here. And if you're a guest, an extra special welcome to you today. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to connect with you. And we've got a gift for you. It's our way of saying thanks for being with us today. So I hope you'll stop by Next Steps, which is just out the doors here to my right, your left. We've got a gift for you. It's also a place where you can ask questions and you can find out how you can get connected here at Compass and how this can be a place that you call home. And we want to get you connected in that way here. Now, before I get into the message today, I wanted to share a few things that are coming up in the month of September that we want you to be aware of. We want you to mark on your calendar because you can't miss these things, all right? So the first one is Sunday, September 11th. It is a huge day here at Compass North Fort Worth. It is the fall kickoff, and it's gonna be a big day. We're kicking off a new series that day called Be a Light. It's a decision weekend, so if you've been thinking about baptism or making that decision in your life, you can do that on that day. It's also the kickoff of the NFL season, and so we're gonna tailgate here at Compass North Fort Worth. You can wear your favorite team's jersey. I'll be wearing my Cincinnati Bengals jersey because I'm not a Browns fan anymore, right? And you can also hang out with us in the courtyard. We're gonna have inflatables and food, and it's just gonna be a great day. And then as you just heard, it's also the kickoff of our next session of Rooted. And if there's anything that you can do this fall that I think is better than anything else you do, it's to get signed up for Rooted. So make sure you get signed up. Go ahead and do that right now and get ready for an amazing ride through that 11-week journey that we go on through Rooted. Then the other date that you need to mark down is Sunday, September 18th at 6 p.m. in this room. We are going to have a worship night. So we're going to extend what we do on Sunday mornings. We're going to worship more together. We're going to do some other creative things in the service, but that's a part of the Be a Light series that we'll be in. And we want you to come for that. We want you to bring someone with you for that. We also want you to bring them on the 11th as well and just say, hey, come to church with me on those days. And then the last announcement that I have for you is ladies, on Friday, September 30th, and Saturday, October 1st is our annual women's retreat that'll be taking place, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. Registration will go live for that this week, and it's a great way for you to get connected, to find community here at Compass, to grow in your faith, grow closer to God, and get a weekend away from your husband and your kids, or if you're not married, just get a weekend away with some girls and it'll be a good weekend. So make sure you check that out. And so as you can tell, we've got an action-packed fall here at Compass North Fort Worth, and that's just some of the things. We'll be talking about more things that are coming up in the weeks ahead. But today we're kicking off a new series called Mantra, in which we're gonna look at some statements or key phrases that we as a church want to be a part of who we are as we head into this really exciting season of ministry that we're heading into this fall. And if you know anything about me, well, you know that I love statements. I love mantras. I like these memorable phrases that help us to move forward a mission. In fact, here at Compass North Fort Worth, if you walk back in the offices that are behind the stage here, what you'll see is that I've got these mantras all over the place in the offices as reminders to our team of what it is that we've been called to as the church and what we believe we're supposed to do in this mission of navigating people to God. In fact, I love mantras so much that I had one tattooed on my arm as a remember to be strong and courageous in whatever God is calling us to. And if you think about it, mantras are all over the place. In fact, some of your favorite companies, they have mantras that they put in their commercials or they put on their billboards for you to remember who they are. And so I thought as we started out today, maybe we would do a little test to see if you know whose mantra it is. So if you think you know the mantra of this company and what company it is, you go ahead and say it out loud, all right? I need full participation here today, all right? Because Anthony's been preaching like 3 of the last 4 weeks, and you guys participate more for him than you ever do for me, all right? So I'm feeling a little bit cheated here, all right? So I need some help today, all right? So this first one, if you don't get this one, you're probably at the wrong Compass campus, all right? But the first one is this: just do it. Anybody know whose mantra that is? Nike, thank you. This is the sneaker campus, right? We know our sneakers around here. Or how about this one? The ultimate driving machine. Anybody know that? BMW, right? All right, we got that. Somebody knows their BMW. How about this next one? This one might be a little bit harder, but I'll give you a little hint. If you like brownies, you better figure this out. Homemade, made easy. Betty Crocker, all right. The first hour, nobody knew who that was. Somebody likes brownies around here. I think that was actually my daughter that said that, because she's always baking brownies at home. How about this next one? Have it your way. Burger King, right? I mean, because who doesn't like a flame-broiled hamburger your way, right? And just like these companies have mantras that they focus on and help to shape their culture, well, we believe that there are some statements, there are some phrases, mantras, as if you will, as a church that we should have when it comes to this mission of navigating people to God. So if you've got a Bible or if you've got a Bible app on your smartphone, go ahead and turn with me to the book of Luke. We're gonna be in Luke chapter 9 today, and it's in Luke 9 that at this point in Jesus' ministry, he's talking to a crowd of people. And it's here in Luke chapter 9, starting in verse 57, that we get the first mantra from Jesus' words. This is what it says. It says, as they were walking along, someone said to Jesus, I will follow you wherever you go. But Jesus replied, foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to even lay his head. He said to another person, come follow me. The man agreed, and he said, Lord, first let me return home and bury my father. But Jesus told him, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach about the kingdom of God. Another said, yes, Lord, I will follow you, but first let me say goodbye to my family. But Jesus told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. So it's in these verses that we just read here that we get our first mantra that we want to focus on today. And that mantra is simply this, that we are called to grip the plow. And I get, as I say that, some of you might be like, grip the plow. What does that even mean, Pastor Nate? Like, I've never been a farmer. I have no idea what a plow I'm even supposed to do with that. So what does this mean for me? But what we see throughout Scripture is that there are a lot of times where when Jesus is talking to the crowds of people, he was talking to farming communities, and so he used agricultural terms and metaphors to help drive home his point. And so while we may not have a lot of agricultural knowledge ourselves, this was really helpful in Jesus' day. And so I'll kind of break this down today as we dig into the Scripture to hopefully help you get to what Jesus is really getting at. But what we see throughout Scripture when Jesus talks is that Jesus oftentimes, he refers to geographical areas as fields, and he talks about that when we pray to God that we are to call him the Lord of the harvest, and he even calls Christ followers to be field workers. So these agricultural terms are things that Jesus says over and over again. And I think sometimes when we read like passages of Scripture like Luke chapter 9, we miss these things, or we don't even think about what Jesus is trying to get at here. And for us, a lot of us have never found ourselves in a field before. We've never seen ourselves like raking the fields or tilling the ground, and our hands are getting dirty and we're getting sweaty in that way. It's just not something that we've done. I mean, many of us, our jobs is working behind the computer in our home office, or working in a cubicle, or working the cash register, or working the espresso machine at Starbucks, or whatever it might be. But as Christ followers, we aren't called to sit and to be comfortable. We're not called to stay within the four walls of our homes or the four walls of our church building and not to get messy, but we are called as Christ followers to be field workers, to go to the people and the places that Jesus would have gone to and not be afraid to get a little bit messy along the way. And so this grip the plow metaphor, this mantra, I'm not sure that it's super appealing to many people here today, or even enticing to you as I even say it. Like, you would be like, I'm just gonna hang on to this idea of grip the plow. But my hope is at the end of this message today that you'll be like, I'm all in and I'm ready to grip the plow. Like I think if maybe I changed it and I said, hey, our job as Christ followers is to grip the remote, or to grip the driver, or to grip the iPhone, or to grip the latte from Native Coffee, like we'd be all for that, right? But this idea of grip the plow, I mean, it's a little bit different for us. But understand what grip the plow really means. Grip the plow is a call to work. It's a call for each of us to personally engage. It's a call to every person who is a part of this church family, who calls Compass their church home, to say, you know what? I am no longer gonna sit on the sidelines. I am getting engaged. I'm not just gonna show up and attend, but I am going to step out in faith and do what God has called me to do. That I wanna make a difference in my community. I wanna make a difference in our world. I wanna make a difference in my church family. And so I just want you to imagine for a moment what might happen if we simply chose to grip the plow. Imagine what might happen if we simply said, I am all in. Imagine the stories that might happen and the stories that we would get to tell because we chose to do what God has called us to do. So I'll be honest with you. My goal in this message up front, like I don't want to leave it to the end of like, what are you supposed to do? My goal in this message today is to challenge you to be a field worker, to grip the plow, to be on mission together in helping navigate as many people to God as we can here in North Fort Worth. Because as I say all the time, our job should be, and our mindset should be, that we want to take as many people to heaven with us one day as we possibly can. Now I want to go back to these verses that we read in Luke chapter 9 here and kind of set up the context of what's happening in this time. At this point in time in Jesus' life and his ministry, I mean, Jesus' popularity is at an all-time high. I mean, the paparazzi and TMZ are following Jesus everywhere. They're telling everybody about the things that Jesus is doing. And as people hear about Jesus, well, they want to know if they can experience that too. And so they're coming to find Jesus. And so we get to Luke chapter 9, and we see these three prospective followers of Jesus. Well, they all come saying they want to follow Jesus, but they all have something in common. You see, they all want to follow Jesus in a way that it actually doesn't require anything of them. Like they want this no strings attached relationship with Jesus. That they want to be able to be inspired by his teaching. They want to be moved by his miracles, maybe even experience a miracle of Jesus himself, but they really don't want to get close enough to actually make a commitment. Like they want to attend, but they don't want to engage. They want to show up, but they don't want to step up. They want to sit, but they don't actually want to serve. And Jesus, he's going to speak to them, and really what he's doing is he's speaking to all of us, but that this is not what he's called any of us to be like when it comes to being his followers. And we'll get to that in a minute. But before we do that, let me just talk about this incredible campus that we get to be a part of here at Compass North Fort Worth. You know, over the last 9 months, since we opened the doors back in the middle of November 2021, we've experienced incredible growth. In fact, our attendance has literally tripled since this time last year. God is on the move and working in amazing ways. Yeah, we celebrate that. Our Compass NoFo kids, I just saw it before I came back here. There are kids stacked on top of each other. There are so many kids in there, right? I mean, in this room, it's packed. On Wednesday nights at Compass NoFo students, I was talking to our student pastor, Anthony Morgan, this week, and I said, hey, how many students do we have who call Compass North Fort Worth their church home? And he said, if all of the students, if all of you came on the same Wednesday night that are on our roster, there'd be 300 plus students in this room on this Wednesday night, right? That's incredible. And so I'm gonna make a shameless plug here. Students, listen. If you aren't planning to be here on Wednesday night, get yourself here Wednesday night and bring a friend, because I don't want to see 300 students here. I want to see 1,000 students that are here on Wednesday night, all right? And our 10:30 service, you're part of it. So you know, like many weeks, we're asking you to squeeze in and scoot in. School's back in. So we know that everybody who's been at the lake or in the mountains or wherever you've been, you're going to come back, and this service is going to be more packed than it was already. And so what that means is we need some of you to maybe move services to our 9 o'clock service so that we can make room for new people who are gonna walk in. I told our 9 o'clock service, we want them to invite their friends to worship with them at 9, because as awesome as this room is, that's how we want the 9 o'clock service to feel as well. And the only way that happens is if some of us accept the call to maybe change services or accept the call to invite our friends to be a part of what God's doing here. And you know, when I look around, there's a lot of new faces. Many of you would fall into this category of you just started coming here sometime in the last 9 months, maybe in the last couple of weeks. And I gotta tell you, I'm so glad that you're here. Like, I'm so glad that for those of you who are new, you're just checking this out. And we've always said that we want this to be a place where people can come and visit, they can ask questions, and they can find out if this is a good fit. And as Anthony preached a few weeks ago in his message, that we've had this statement since I came to Texas and launched this campus, that we want this to be a place where people feel loved and accepted, not outcast or unwanted. And we want this to be a place where people feel at home. And listen, when this place feels like home, then there's a next step for you, right? That it can't just feel like home and we just sit in the chairs. That when this feels like home, there comes a time where we step over the line and we say, I'm making a commitment. I'm gonna get in the game. I'm gonna grip the plow. And you know, I think about this campus and what God has done over the last 4.5 years. When we launched this campus on March 25th, 2018, there were some volunteers who said we're in and we're gonna be a part of launching this campus, and they're still here today. They're still serving in a nursery. I think of Lisa, who has been serving in the nursery almost every week since we launched this campus. I think about some of our production team, like Brandon, who serves in the back. You never see him, but he brings his own camera whenever he's serving so that we have another device that we can use to give the best experience that we can. I think about some of the volunteers that we have who don't need or want recognition. They do it because they know that this is what they've been called to. But if I'm honest with you today, we can't just keep relying on the same people to watch babies and Compass kids or be a part of the pre-K ministry or work in the elementary age. We can't have the same volunteers helping with Compass NoFo students every single school calendar year. We need new volunteers there. We can't have the same people who are holding the doors and being the smiling face, or the people who are out working in the parking lot, no matter what the elements are, or working on production, running a camera, or pressing the lights, or making sure that everything works. We need new people. We need new faces to step up and say, I'm ready to grip the plow. So let me just do another commercial break in the middle of my message, all right? Maybe today what you need to do, maybe the call that God has for you is to go to Serve Tour that's happening right after this service and say, I'm ready to get plugged in. I'm ready to serve. And our Next Steps pastor, Amanda, she'll take you around and she'll show you all the ministry areas and find out where you can get plugged into. Maybe that's what God's calling you to do today. Now, I want you to hear this today. I love that our church has grown as much as it has. But I never want to gauge our success on the number of people who attend, but instead I want to gauge our success by the number of people who get engaged, who said, I'm willing to go all in, I'm ready to grip the plow. And my hope is that at the end of this message today is that if you have not engaged, that you would choose to do that very thing today, and that you would say, I am ready to make a difference where I'm at. But before we get to this point, let me go back to these three prospective followers of Jesus. In the New International Version of this text, the heading at the top of this section of scripture, it says this: the cost of following Jesus. What we have to understand is there's always a cost associated with following Jesus. And after that heading, then it begins to tell about these three prospective followers and what they say. And the first guy comes to Jesus and he says, hey, Jesus, I'll follow you wherever you go. And I like this word wherever, because this word wherever, it is a no strings attached, no conditions kind of word. This guy, he's not even negotiating with Jesus. He says, I'll follow you wherever you go, or at least it appears that way. But Jesus knows that when this guy says wherever, he actually doesn't mean wherever. Because notice what Jesus says next. He says, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Basically, what Jesus is saying to this guy is, hey, homie, guess what? I am homeless. I got nowhere to go. I don't have a house. I don't have a tent to sleep in. We are sleeping on the side of the road. And if you're down for that, if you're willing to do that with me, then it's time to grip the plow. But Jesus knew that this guy really didn't mean I'll go wherever when he said wherever. And Jesus places this guy at a crossroads. He says, you can go left and follow me where I'm going, or you can head right and you can go to what is still comfortable for you. And here's the thing that we've got to understand. You can't follow Jesus, and most of the time you can't have comfort at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. There will be these moments where I believe all of us will have to decide, am I choosing what is comfortable, or am I choosing what God is calling me to? You know, one of the things my wife, Amanda, and I have always said when it comes to ministry ever since we started is if we're comfortable, then we're probably not doing what God is calling us to do. Or there's something more that God wants from us. I believe that statement there is why my family and I decided a little over 5 years ago that we were going to move to Fort Worth, Texas to launch a campus of Compass. Because we felt this stirring. We were like, man, there's something that we feel like God is calling us to. We're not sure what it is, and we're just gonna ask God to reveal that to us. And he opened the door for us to come on staff here at Compass and to launch this campus. And I'll be honest with you, that calling that God had, it was not comfortable. I mean, we literally moved 20 plus hours away from our closest family and friends. We didn't know anybody when we moved to Texas. Like we had no one here that we could connect with. Everybody was new to us. But it's what we believed God was calling us to. And so it meant we had to step out of what was comfortable. And I'll tell you this, I love this place. I love that North Fort Worth is where we live, that this is home to us. A few weeks ago, we were visiting our family in where we came from, our home, right? But that doesn't feel like home anymore. This feels like home. And I'm so glad that we took a step to follow God's calling rather than to stay comfortable, to be where we were. And I believe that maybe that's what God is calling some of you to today, that you have to decide, am I gonna choose comfort or am I gonna choose calling? This is what Jesus was wanting these three prospective followers to understand. In fact, just a little bit before this, Jesus says this in Luke chapter 9, verse 23. He says, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, he must take up his cross daily and follow me. I want you to think about this idea of taking up a cross. In Jesus' day, the whole idea of him saying this is not something that is comforting or comfortable. I mean, the image of a cross was not something that would have been comfortable to anyone because it was a means of execution in Jesus' day. Like nobody was wearing a cross necklace around their neck. Nobody was having a wall of crosses in their home. There was no crosses on the sides of building. There were only crosses on the sides of the road. This was not a comfortable thing at all. And so Jesus says this to the people on this day. This is the most unappealing way that you could get somebody to try to follow you. Like, why would anybody want to follow Jesus when he says, take up your cross daily? It doesn't make sense. But what Jesus was doing is basically saying to this guy who says, I'll follow you wherever. What he's saying is, yeah, will you follow me where it's uncomfortable? I mean, will you go where it doesn't feel very good? Because I think Jesus knew something about all of us. Jesus knew that we often say some things that we don't actually mean. Like we'll say, hey, Jesus, I'll follow you wherever you go. But really what we're saying is, I'll follow you wherever you go as long as where you're going is actually where I want to go in the first place. You know, it kind of reminds me, sometimes my wife, Amanda, and I will pick a date night. And she doesn't like to choose, so she'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna let you choose where we go to dinner tonight. It's your choice. I don't wanna make the decision. You just choose. And so usually I think about it for a little bit, and then I'll come to her and I'll go, hey, you know what? I was thinking we should go to Chuy's because I could really crave some creamy jalapeno ranch and a Mexican salad with steak and the chips and salsa, they're the bomb. Like, I want some of that tonight. And she goes, oh, I'm not feeling that. Just had Chipotle yesterday, so Tex-Mex is out. So then I gotta rethink my whole plan. So I'm like, you know what? I know where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Heim Barbecue because I'm getting some bacon burnt ends, some chili mac and cheese, and then we'll top it off with a little melt ice cream down the street. And she goes, babe, I'm watching my figure, and that's a little heavy, and we need something a little bit lighter, right? And so I gotta rethink again. And so I'm like, okay, where can we go to get something lighter? I know where we'll go. We'll go to Rachel's, that new Mediterranean Chipotle kind of style place there on Heritage Trace. They got the Greek salad, and you can put a little chicken on it. It's light, it's airy. I mean, it's not gonna be heavy. And she goes, I'm really not feeling a salad tonight. But you get to choose wherever you want to go. You just decide, and I'll go wherever you want. I'll choose the next time, all right? I think this is what we sometimes do with Jesus, right? We say, hey, Jesus, I'll do whatever you want me to do as long as what you want me to do is actually what I wanted to do all along. We say, I'll go wherever, but we don't actually mean we'll go wherever. And I think this applies in the church as well. God, we'll do whatever you want us to do. We'll go and we'll do that mission or that ministry wherever you want us to go, as long as it's not really, we're not gonna get very messy. As long as it's not gonna get uncomfortable. As long as we're not gonna have to go to the people and the places that we may not feel comfortable talking with. Or, hey, Jesus, I'll go to that church as long as all of my preferences are being met. As long as they sing my favorite Maverick City songs, and as long as the pastor, he preaches what I want to hear, I'll go there. I mean, we even sing a song like this. I love this song called Oceans, right? We sing it. We say, Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Can I be honest with you? I don't know why we sing that song sometimes, because we sing that song, but do we actually mean the words of it? Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Would you actually go wherever God sends you, even without borders? Like, I think when we sing that song, we actually sing it this way. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders, as long as it's the border of somewhere in Hawaii, right? Like, I made that up in first service. It was so good, I put it back in there, right? And I'm gonna send that to Hillsong, see what happens, right? I might get a record label. If you could auto-tune the recording, though, that would be great. So, that's right. But what Jesus is trying to get these prospective followers to understand, and us to understand, is that saying yes to Jesus, it almost always means saying no to me. It means putting calling ahead of comfort. So we as the church, we're called to grip the plow. We're called to work the fields. But here's the thing. Look at what Jesus says to his disciples in Matthew chapter 9, verse 37. He says, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. What Jesus is saying is, look at the areas around us. He says, the harvest is plentiful, but the problem is there's not enough workers. You know, when I look around North Fort Worth, I see all kinds of construction taking place. I see new neighborhoods going up. And I think to myself, the harvest is plentiful. But if I'm honest, just like Jesus, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Do you know that on average, every single month here in North Fort Worth, there are 1,500 plus new families who are moving into our community? Like when we moved here 5 years ago, there were neighborhoods that did not exist that now exist. Like at the exit, right where you get off here to come to North Fort Worth, there was that neighborhood right on 287, that literally went up during COVID. Some of you remember that. Like streets at a time. They were building a whole street in a week, right? And people were moving here at a rapid pace. In fact, there are projections that there are tens of thousands of more people who are going to move to Compass North Fort Worth area in the next several years. And the harvest, when I look around, it's plentiful. It's why this call to grip the plow is so important. It's why this is a call not just for some people, it's a call for every one of us to get involved. So I want to just talk to some different groups here today. For some of you, you're new to Compass. Maybe this is your first Sunday. Maybe you walked in and you're like, what is going on here? Right? Maybe you've been here for a few weeks and you've just been checking things out. My hope is that if this is a place where you find connection and you find community, if this is a place that you would call your church home, my hope is, and I actually want to challenge you with this, when that feels that way for you, when this place feels that way for you, and we want to help you find that you would take the challenge seriously to grip the plow. For others of you, you've been worshiping with us here at Compass for some time. Maybe it's since we opened the doors in November. Maybe you've been with us since we were mobile at the school or the movie theater, even when we started, and you've not fully engaged here, but you would say Compass is your church home, and you've not fully gotten involved yet. Well, it's time to grip the plow. There's no more sitting on the sidelines and being a consumer. It's time to participate, because each and every one of us, we have to understand, we all have gifts. We all have abilities that can be used for his kingdom. And listen, we can't have this mindset that somebody else will do it. We have to have the mindset that it's time to get in the game because the harvest is plentiful. And then there's another group that I want to talk to today. The group that I want to talk to today is those of you who have already said yes to gripping the plow. Can I just say this from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our staff's heart, thank you. Thank you for being willing to do whatever it takes to help navigate people to God in North Fort Worth. And I realize that being a volunteer, sometimes it can get discouraging because you can think like, is anybody else ever gonna step up to serve, or am I gonna have to do this every single week? But don't get discouraged, be encouraged, because God is moving, God is working in this place. And if you can't see that, just look around and see this room right now. Or just think about what God has done since we opened the doors of this building in November. We've seen 71 people accept Christ and get baptized in our baptistry here. That doesn't happen without some amazing volunteers, right? It doesn't happen without you. But friends, there's still so much work to do. There are fields that God is calling us to work. It's time to grip the plow. It's time to get in the game. It's something we believe that all are called to do as a church. And you know, one of the simplest ways that you can grip the plow and say yes to that is by being a part of our meal marathon that's taking place on Saturday, September 24th. We've got 3 times at 8 and 10 and 12. And there are an hour and a half. You can get together with other people and you can serve by packing meals, and it's gonna help other people in need in our communities and around the world. Or maybe it's to be a part of our outreach team that partners with local community organizations to help those in need in our community. Or maybe, as we said earlier, I shared a message a few weeks ago that we want to be a church that breaks the cycle of racism that still exists in our world today. Maybe you can be a part of the solution to that problem. Or we talked about in our At the Movie series that we want to be a church that is known for taking care of the at-risk kids in our community. That we want to be a church that's for single moms and for the widows and for the down and outs in our community. That when people who have never walked through the doors of our church, they drive past our building and they see Compass.Church on the side of it, or they see our billboard on 287, they will go, hey, that's the church that, and you fill in the blank. But if I'm honest, it can't just be the incredible volunteers we have now. It can't be this amazing staff that I get to work alongside every single day. It means that each and every one of us has to say, I'm in, I'm ready. It's time to grip the plow. And I want you to hear my heart on this. I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. But honestly, I would rather have a church that is filled with people who have said yes to the call and are working in the fields than a church that is filled with spectators who sit on the sidelines and just want to be entertained. And I believe that if we all engage, if we all choose to say, I'm in, I'm ready, I'm gripping the plow, that the Spirit will move in this place in ways that we would not even begin to even imagine or even expect, because we just simply do what God has called us to do from the very beginning. And listen, I'm so grateful for what God has already done here at Compass North Fort Worth. I mean, there's so much to celebrate, isn't there? But if I'm being honest, we are just getting started. And there is still so much work to do because the harvest is plentiful. And what God might be calling you to do today, what God might be saying to you today is it's time to step out of the comfort zone. It's time to get in the game. And that's what he was doing with the first guy. Now notice what Jesus says to the second guy in Luke chapter 9, verses 59 and 60. It says, he said to another man, follow me. But the man replied, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. And Jesus said, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Now, as I read that, maybe you're thinking, man, this doesn't seem very pastoral of Jesus here, right? I mean, let the dead bury their own dead. Pretty insensitive to say, Jesus. I mean, there's not much empathy there. And you're thinking, why wouldn't Jesus allow this guy to go bury his father? Well, what we have to understand is that many commentators believe that this guy, his dad wasn't dead. His dad was maybe even healthy. There was no chance that his dad was going to die anytime soon. And what this guy was actually saying is, hey, Jesus, I'll come and follow you when my dad dies. But right now, I got to stay in my dad's good graces because there's a big inheritance coming. And I want to make sure that I get in the inheritance and then I'll follow you. And once again, there's a crossroads here. This is not how it works. This guy says to Jesus, first, let me do this. But you see, anytime that Jesus calls you to something and the first words out of your mouth are the words first, there's a problem. Because you're putting off something that God wants you to do now by saying, I'll do it later. And you see, tomorrow is not a word that the Bible knows when it comes to obedience. Understand, Jesus is calling us to action today. Now is the time for what he is calling you and I to. So listen, don't put off for tomorrow what God is calling you to today. Now there's one last person who's a prospective follower of Jesus, and notice what it says here in verse 61. It says, still another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. And then Jesus responds by saying this. It says, no one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. Now, what's Jesus getting at with this last prospective follower? He's saying, in order to be my follower, he says, I need a full commitment from you. He says, I need your whole heart. I don't want half of you. He says, I want all of you, and there's no looking back. And this is where the plow comes in. Like when you're plowing a field, you want to plow in a straight line, right? So if you're looking back, or if you're on your iPhone, you're probably not going to have a straight line, right? And Jesus says you can't allow anything to move your focus off of what I have called you to. And he says the reason is that I need your full devotion. The reason I want all of you is it's because of love. See, God loved us so much that he says, when you become a follower of mine, I want full devotion back to me. You know, one of my concerns as a pastor has always been that the church would be complacent, that this campus would get complacent, because I've seen that too many times with other churches that some of my friends have pastored at. And that we'd have what psychologists call the bystander effect, which is basically this idea that people see a need and they think something needs to be done about it, but they don't actually do anything about it because they think somebody else will do it. And this is something that's becoming all too common in our culture today. In fact, a few years ago in Kansas City, there was a woman who was being physically assaulted in a grocery store parking lot. And 10 people witnessed it. 2 people recorded it on their phones, but nobody called the police, nobody stepped in. Now, it wasn't because these were bad or evil people. The reason that nobody did anything is they all saw all the people who were seeing it and they thought, somebody else will make a decision, somebody else will step in, and nobody did anything. And my fear is that the same thing could happen in the church. Like the mindset will be, somebody else will sign up to pack meals for the meal marathon. Somebody else will work with Compass NoFo students. Somebody else will work in the nursery with Compass kids or work with the elementary kids. Somebody else will hold a door. Somebody else will make sure that there's spots available for people to park in. Somebody else will serve. Somebody else will give. Somebody else will preach. Somebody else will volunteer. Somebody else will sing. And my concern for us as a church is that the bystander effect, it would become all too real. And I don't want that for our campus. I don't want that for our church. And so my invitation today is simply this. If you consider Compass your church home, make a commitment to grip the plow. You know, ultimately, your life is determined by what you say yes to and what you say no to. That's it. I mean, it really is that simple. Your whole life is determined by the things you say yes or you say no to. Like you can't live in the middle. You can't ride in the middle. Don't play it safe. What God is calling us to do is to step up and to step out to what he is calling us to. So here's how we're going to end today. When you came in today, you should have received one of these cards that simply says this, I commit to, and it's blank. And maybe as I've been sharing today, God's been laying something on your heart that you need to commit to, that you need to move in some way, that God is calling you to this season of ministry to grip the plow. And I don't know what that looks like for each and every person here, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna sing a song, and as we do, I want you to take some time and write what it is that you're gonna commit to in this next season as we head toward the fall. And maybe you're not sure what that is. Let me give you a few things that maybe you could write here, or maybe it'll spark something for you. This isn't just a call to serve here at Compass. This is just a call to action to be who we are called to be as Christ followers. Maybe what you need to say is, I commit to praying for one different coworker every week. I commit to meeting every single one of my neighbors by the end of the year. Maybe it's, I commit to getting baptized on Sunday, September 11th as part of our decision weekend. I commit to serve with Compass kids, Compass NoFo students. I commit to be part of our Next Steps team or our production team or our parking team, or to be one of our online hosts. I commit to signing up for the next session of Rooted. I commit to getting into God's word daily starting today. I commit to increasing the percentage I'm giving here at Compass. I commit to taking the next step to fostering a child. I commit to fasting every Monday until dinner, asking God to move in our church. I commit to inviting at least one neighbor into my house once a month, and once I've built a relationship, I commit to inviting them to Compass. I commit to asking my coworkers how I can pray for them. I commit to, I think the list goes on and on. And so I'd love to challenge you today to be specific, to be bold, and to write down what it is that God has laid on your heart or what he's laying on your heart in this moment, because we don't want to be a people of tomorrow. We don't want to be a church of tomorrow. We want to say to God, today, God, I'm letting go of comfort. I'm choosing to go where you are calling. I am making a commitment where you are leading me. And today I will join you. I will join your church, and I will grip the plow, and I will work the fields. And so we're going to sing this song, and as we do, I want you to take some time and write this down, whatever it is that maybe you're being called to. And after you've done that, you can bring it to one of these baskets in the front and drop it off. And that is your signifying that you are ready to grip the plow, that you're gonna take that commitment seriously. And our team's gonna pray over these commitments this week. And as we sing this song, if you feel led to stand up, you can stand and write, or you can sit there, whatever it is, but take some time to think about what it is that God is calling you to. And so we're gonna sing this song right now, and as we do, take some time to write and fill out that card.
To the cross, you crucified all my sin and shame. It was washed by your mercy, and you are the treasure I find, my reason for living. So let my life become an offering to the one who is worthy. All praise to the Lord Most High, and all praise to the one who saved my life. All praise to Jesus Christ, my King of heaven, my King forever. My King forever. And you stormed the gates of my heart. The veil in between was torn apart. And you hold the keys to the grave. 'Cause you bring things to life, and you roll stones away. All praise to the Lord Most High, and all praise to the one who saved my life. All praise to Jesus Christ, my King of heaven, my King forever. All praise to the Lord Most High. All praise to the one. All praise to Jesus Christ, my King of heaven, my King forever. My King forever. And I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My whole life now is for you. And I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My whole life now is for you. And I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My whole life down before you. And I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My whole life down is for you. I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My whole life down is for you. I lift my hands up, lay my whole life down. My my King of heaven, my King forever. Yeah. My King forever. Heavenly Father, we love you. We worship you. You are so good. Amen. Folks, that's all we have for you this morning. We love you. We want to meet you. So if you are new here, if you want to hear more about who we are as a church, please come check out Next Steps. Come introduce yourselves. Sign up for Serve Tour. And if you're not going to do that, we'll see you next Sunday. All right. Bless you guys.